Hello there, everybody, and welcome here as we get ready for knockout qualifying for our 20th race of the season. Can you believe it, folks? After today, we've only got 6 more races and the chase begins here in the first season of the Hersheys Cup Series. We are live here at my home track. This is Watkins Glen International, getting ready for our second road course stop of the season. And much like our first road course stop at Sonoma, or Infineon, whichever you want to call it, these drivers are going to be given 10 minutes in this knockout qualifying session to be able to try and turn one of the 7 fastest laps to make the main event, the Cheez-It 355 at the Glen. We've already got one driver out on track. He's the only one at the moment. So let's put our camera on him. Looks like a couple more are actually coming off pit road right now. But the first one out on track to turn a lap is going to be Kyle Matthews. And this is definitely going to be a knockout qualifying session that is really going to revolve around one thing, and that is handling and, well, two things really, handling and braking zones. This is not a draft reliant racetrack. Most of the speedways we've gone to, even some of the short tracks like Bristol was a bit of a draft reliant track. They mostly relied on draft. If you had a driver that you were able to get the slipstream off the back of, normally you were going to turn a fast lap. Not so here today. Most of these drivers are going to be running by themselves, and it's really just going to come down to whether they hit their braking zones correctly or not, as to whether or not they're going to turn a fast lap. And I'm going to quickly just step aside for a moment. The phone is ringing. I just got to see who it is. We'll keep you on Kyle Matthews' machine here, and we'll come back hopefully before he completes his first time lap. I apologize for that, but Kyle Matthews has not even completed this timed lap yet, so really didn't miss a whole lot. He'll be the first one to lay down a lap here. There'll probably be a couple of drivers that will be much slower times because their pit stalls were before the start-finish line, but the first official lap time is about to be put on the board by Kyle Matthews, and it will be a 1:10.781. That's not too bad. We've seen drivers be able to hit 1:08s, but a 1:10 is not too bad a first lap to be run here by Kyle Matthews. So, nice lap for him. I think the second car I saw come off pit road might have been the 41 of Sam McMillan. There he is. I think Cody Lamas is also another driver that came out at the same time. So, a couple drivers up here in this group. Qualls just ahead. Joshua Michaels just a little bit further ahead. I think they'll be the next ones to turn laps, and boy, that 41 is running right behind the 20. Like I said, there is really no draft reliance in this type of a racetrack. That might be hurting McMillan's time, if anything, that he's not able to run the braking zones he wants to. Let's see, yeah, there you can see he was slower than James Qualls, Joshua Michaels, and Kyle Matthews, who were all running by themselves. So I think McMillan's times may get hindered because he's running behind another machine. Different drivers have different braking zones. Jace Nelson was second fastest, now dropped to third fastest as Austin Gipe just put down the second fastest lap time. You see Nelson's all by himself, 1:10.455. His Qualls right now is the fastest on track. There is Gipe, now just dropped to fourth fastest. John Cittadino just hit the 1:9s. He's the fastest on the charts right now, 1:09.943. Gipe right now sitting fourth with a 1:10.445. Not for long. Joseph Srigley just beat him for that spot. Dropped Gipe down to fifth. Srigley up to fourth. There's Pollard. He was, he was ninth. He just dropped to 12th, just like that, in lap times. Now 13th fastest. Zachary Fitzwater right now 14th. Matt McIntyre is just about to complete his first timed lap. Kyle Matthews ran faster that time at 1:10.247. He's fourth fastest on track right now. And Qualls, along with Cody Lamas and John Cittadino, has jumped up into the 1:09s. Qualls now the fastest with a 1:09.838. Lamas with a 9:02 and Cittadino with a 9:43 that he just ran last time by. Let's see if he beats that lap this time. He's got the car of Dallas McIntosh ahead of him, so he may have a much slower lap time. Let's see at the stripe. Well, he did get a faster lap time, 109.623. John Cittadino, very well-known road course racer, showing it off right here, and he will actually work his way around the Dallas McIntosh machine. Cittadino's got a strong Chevrolet. And trying to remember, I want to say he qualified into last week's race. Well, no, actually, well, I can't remember. Now I can't seem to remember whether he did or not. Right now, though, Johnny Gardner has popped up into the top 5. Where's that 12 car? Because we got to document something here. You'll notice Johnny Gardner, the new sponsorship, Mobil 1, and you'll notice he's driving something a little bit different looking. That is the 2016 Ford Fusion make. Young Motorsports, 1 win this season with JT Bryant, but Dylan Young, the owner of Young Motorsports, making the decision to move the team over to the new Ford Fusion, which has apparently seemed to work out really well for the 6 team of James Richardson. And so Johnny Gardner right now trying to make the show. He is 6th fastest right now, so at the moment he would be in. But you'll see, if he makes the show, you'll see him, as well as Dylan Young, JT Bryant, sporting the new 2016 Ford Fusions. Dodge Dart no longer in the series at this point, unless some team formulates that decides to run the Dodge Dart. Right now it's Cittadino firmly in control of the top spot. James Qualls in 2nd. 3rd place Cody Lamas, Kyle Matthews 4th, Sam McMillan 5th. Johnny Gardner right now in 6th, and the last transfer spot would go right at the moment to Austin Gipe. Seth Cole was up in the top 7 moments ago. This is home track. Trying to make the show in the Pirates of the Caribbean camouflage car. Kind of surprising that the main event race is called the Cheez-It 355, and they're not running the Cheez-It car this week. They tried to qualify the Cheez-It machine into Coca-Cola. And, oh, not Coca-Cola, I'm sorry. They actually raced at Coca-Cola. They tried to qualify it last week at Rockingham and failed to make the show. Now the new sponsorship. And we got a new 2nd place driver. It doesn't change the top 7, but Sam McMillan jumped up to 2nd place, 109.712. And the bad news right at the moment, as far as top 35 in points is concerned, neither Joshua Michaels nor Michael Norman, who have been battling for that 36 spots in points, are up in the top 7. Neither of them are even in the top 10. Right now, Michaels is 18th fastest on track, and Norman is 20th. Let's see if maybe this time if the lap time goes a little better for Michaels. And he did beat his lap time. He's now 110.359, but that's only 17th fastest on the charts. And Seth Cole just jumped up to 7th on the speed charts, and that knocks out Austin Gipe, who now fell to 9th. Zach Flickinger, who made his debut last week at Rockingham, he's now 8th fastest on the outside looking in. Let's follow that car. Where's the 01 U.S. Army car? Back here somewhere. There he is. And he just dropped to 9th. Cole is out. Matt McIntyre just jumped up into the top 7. 110.074 with a little, well, just about a minute remaining. And Johnny Gardner now is in the danger zone in 7th place. It would now be Cittadino, who has not relented the top of the leaderboard with that 109.6. Sam McMillan 2nd. I would say that maybe, just maybe, Cittadino, McMillan, Lamas, and Qualls are locked in at this point. Maybe Kyle Matthews. Matt McIntyre 6th and Johnny Gardner 7th. Seth Cole, 7/1000ths of a second on the outside looking in as Johnny Gardner holds the final transfer spot right now. 30 seconds remaining. This is the money lap for a number of drivers to try and race their way into the Cheez-It 355. That was a great lap there by Matt McIntyre. And this is the completion of laps for a number of drivers. Stephen Pollard III, Zachary Fitzwater. Doesn't look like either of them had lap times good enough to beat it. 2 100ths slower for Matt McIntyre, but right at the moment he's in good shape. Cittadino still top of the leaderboard. No better lap for McIntosh or Dowd. Flickinger coming off pit road. Qualls calling it a day as he'll probably transfer. Srigley, no faster. Michael Norman 2/10 slower. Same for Galligan. Seth Cole needs to transfer in with a fast lap. He was 4/10 slower than his fastest lap. Johnny Gardner looks like he will get in by the skin of his teeth. Brandon Gonzalez, no faster for the Mitsubishi Lancer. Here comes Joshua Michaels. Did he beat it? No, he was a full second slower than his fastest lap time, and it looks like everybody's going to be completing their laps now. Grayson Acavito, 21st fastest, was the slowest in practice. That was apparently not a very good handling race car. John Cittadino is going to top the leaderboard here in knockout qualifying. He'll transfer in, and the session, I believe, would now be complete. He would be joined by Sam McMillan, Cody Lamas, James Qualls. Kyle Matthews finally makes a show. Matt McIntyre there with a great lap transfers in along with Johnny Gardner. Seth Cole, 7/1000ths of a second, will miss making the show at his home track. Zach Flickinger, Austin Gipe, Sean Galligan, Jace Nelson on down. They all will miss making the main event. Two drivers, notably Joshua Michaels and Michael Norman. So the gap between them and 35th in the point stands is going to grow here today, as neither one of them will transfer into the main event. 2-1. Session will probably be complete now, and there it is. So there you go. There's your 7 drivers to transfer. Let's get ready now for our main event in our second road course stop of the season here at the Glen. The second road course stop of the season here in the Hersheys Cup Series plays host at Watkins Glen International Raceway for race number 20 of the season. We are getting down to crunch time. After today's race, only 6 more events remain before we find out who are going to be our 12 drivers that will battle it out for this season's Hersheys Cup Series Championship. Today, these drivers are going to have to channel their inner road course ace, as they are going to be taking to the twists and turns, the elevation changes, and of course that dreaded bus stop here at Watkins Glen International. The cream of the crop as far as road course racers are definitely going to utilize this as an opportunity to be able to get to victory lane and maybe put themselves in position to be in this season's chase for the championship. Very interesting front row here. Some drivers that we've not really seen up at the front for most of the past couple of weeks, and they're looking for their first wins of the season. Dylan Poteet for Tweenix Racing alongside of the pole sitter Holden Gluba in the Toyota Camry. Now, we've already documented the success that Joe Gibbs Racing has had with 2 wins in the form of the 18 car of Jeremy Jones. However, Holden Gluba, since moving over to that team, his finishes have been a little bit better, but he has not been at the race-winning caliber as his teammate. Dylan Poteet is trying to put a shot in the arm here for Tweenix Racing, as both he and Trent Dunham are both mired down low in the standings, and their other 2 drivers, Sean Galligan and Seth Cole, both failed to make today's event. So it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for both of these drivers as they're trying to get their seasons turned around. A win here today, you never know, it could put them in championship contention. It already did that for last week's winner, Rockingham, Emmanuel Hartnett. So we'll see what takes place in today's event. Let's take a look at the top 10 here. We gave you your front row. Starting off third, it's going to be John Arndt in the 24, another driver, much like the top 2 for the start of this race, that started the season off fairly well, and things have tapered off a bit. Really needs a good run here today. Alongside of him, Johnny Gardner, highest starter of the knockout qualifiers, over in a Ford Fusion, as I mentioned in knockout qualifying. Young Motorsports moving to the 2016 Ford Fusion bodies, leaving Dodge Dart. We'll see how they do. All 3 of them are going to be in today's event. Then you've got Charles Sanford in the 03, trying to get a win here for Retro Racing Enterprises. All 3 of the Retro Racing Enterprises drivers are in this field as well, so good opportunity for them to maybe come away with their first victory of the season. Alongside of him, Sam McMillan trying to pick up his second win of the season. He ended up winning at Kansas earlier on, but he is outside the top 35 in points. A second win could certainly help him here today. And then we have a New Yorker starting up here in the top 10. That is Benjamin Miles in the 25 car, still trying to find his first win of the season. He is in the top 10 in points, trying to keep that consistency going, but a trip to victory lane, I'm certain he would not turn his nose up at that. He'll start off alongside of the Mercedes-Benz of Daniel Voiles in the 26. Voiles trying to get his season going. He's had some good runs, and then it seems the next week he has a bad run. He's just been flip-flopping through the point standings as of late. Completing your top 10, starting 9th place is Kean Eddington. He lost the points lead after last week's event. He will roll off from the 9th position. Comes into this race 20 points out of the top position, and alongside of him is going to be Austin LaPlante. LaPlante, 35th in the point standings, but he had a great run last week. As a matter of fact, actually, no, he's not 35th in the points. I apologize for that. He's actually moved out of the top 35, or the 35th spot in the points. Dylan Young has now dropped into that danger zone. So LaPlante going to try and get another good run here today at the Glen. Here's the rest of your starting lineup as we look on through the field. There's last week's winner, Emmanuel Hartnett. There you see Dylan Young in the new Ford for his 2 machine. You'll see JT Bryant in the 22 also in a new Ford at some point when we get back through this field. There's Kyle Matthews finally making a race. It's been a kind of a drought for him in making a main event race. There's JT Bryant, Shell Pennzoil Ford Fusion. Now we'll have to see how these switches over to Fusions, where John Cittadino ran the fastest lap of 109.6 in knockout qualifying. It'll be interesting to see how he does here today starting at the rear. And Joshua Circuli comes in a points lead tie with Jeremy Jones, and he's starting 41st here today. So that will be very interesting to see how he fights his way through the field. Pit strategy could come into play with 18 laps of racing, but for now, we're going to go down trackside and get these 42 engines fired up.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Boy, the king certainly gets around. He gave the command last week at Rockingham. He gives the command here today at Watkins Glen. The silver Hersheys Chevy SS pace car will lead the field around, and here is your point standings coming into today's race. As I said, there was a tie atop the point standings this late in the season, believe it or not. Jeremy Jones, 2-time winner, Joshua Circuli, 2-time winner, are tied for the points lead. We saw Circuli's going to roll off from 41st. I didn't really make note of where Jeremy Jones is starting, but I didn't really see him up near the top 10, so both those drivers are going to have to fight here today. Kean Eddington rolling off from the 9th spot. He is 3rd in points. 20 points out. Jake Baskinger, another 2-time winner of the season, 4th in the standings. Rocco Twyman, 5th. Benjamin Miles is 6th. Tim Walsh is 7th. 2-time winner Mason Powers, the back-to-back Superspeedway winner. He is 8th in points. Joshua Lee, despite a poor run last week at Rockingham, is still 9th in the standings. And James Richardson, who ended up winning a couple of weeks ago at... was it Richmond? No, it wasn't Richmond. I forgot where it was. Anyway, he's a former winner this season. I'll think of it, I think. Maybe. But he is 10th in the point standings now. The 2 wildcard spots would be held by one last week's winner, Emmanuel Hartnett, jumped up to 11th in the point standings, and his win puts him in the first wildcard position. Second wildcard spot held by the Daytona 500 winner, Ryan Acosta. He is 16th in the point standings. The good news for these drivers with 1 win right now is that the drivers with 2 wins this season are up inside the top 10 in the points. Jeremy Jones, Joshua Circuli, Mason Powers, and Jake Baskinger. If one of those 4 drivers falls outside of the top 10, then it's helter-skelter, every man for himself to try and get that second wildcard spot, because more than likely the first wildcard spot would go to that 2-time winner. Unless one of those drivers outside the top 10 right now with 1 win could maybe go to victory lane for a second time. That would certainly help the causes of drivers like Emmanuel Hartnett, Ryan Acosta, Noah Kars, James Richardson. So we'll have to see if that's going to be something that they may do here today. Also, pit strategy, as I said, could come into play. Don't really know what the fuel window is for these drivers. The other good news is these drivers, if a caution does come out, they'll only run 1 lap under pacing, and which means that we'll get the most opportunity we can to have green flag laps here. We gave you the trouble spots at Infineon. There are basically 3 trouble spots here at Watkins Glen. The first one being the very first corner, the hard right-hander of turn 1. It's a huge braking zone. A lot of drivers have different braking areas, and usually there can be a stack up. And a lot of times coming off that corner, drivers will hook one another into the tire barriers. Second spot is the bus stop. Double wide is not really such a good idea. We've seen some drivers be able to do it, but if you get a little too wide, you're going to get off in the grass, and you're not going to be able to get that thing back on without collecting somebody when you merge back on the racetrack. Final spot is right here, the final corner. Now, you wouldn't think this would be much of a trouble spot, but when green flag pit stops are going on and drivers go down beneath that yellow line to come to pit road, it can get a little bit hectic with other drivers trying to get around them that are not deciding to pit this lap. So those are your 3 trouble spots, and we'll see if they come into play in the outcome of today's event. But here we go. Holden Gluba and Dylan Poteet will get the Cheez-It 355 underway. We're green flag racing at the Glen. Got to be careful through this corner. Dylan Poteet, there you go. That's exactly what I was talking about. Goes wide and gets hooked off the nose of John Arndt. And that will more than likely bring out a caution flag. I'd be surprised if it didn't. The caution's out and Dylan Poteet's all ready to pit road. Exactly what I was saying. The exit off that first corner, drivers will sometimes get hooked, and we saw a prime example right up at the front of the field, and surprisingly enough, it looks like nobody else was involved. Looks like Dylan Poteet might have been the only one who got collected up in that incident, which makes me rather surprised. Oh, we got another wreck. LaPlante's around in the bus stop. And there's more wrecking up ahead. Oh, look out. That's the co-points leaders. Jeremy Jones, Joshua Circley in the middle of this. Ryan Acosta went off track for a brief moment. Jake Baskinger's got damage just ahead in the 95. That's a driver from the top 10 in the points. Also, Ryan Madden's got damage. And off the final corner, Kian Eddington and Benjamin Miles got together. Eddington got the wall, but they crossed the line. We're under caution. How interesting. The three places that I said were the trouble spots, something happened in all three of those spots on the very first lap. Charles Sanford moved up to second. McMillan's third, Arndt fourth, Benjamin Miles fifth. I want to see the damage on the right side of that 33. Yeah, he pancaked it pretty good after going off the nose of Miles out of the final corner. Oh, Matt McIntyre and John Cittadino, who both had to race their way in. One's crunched up, one is smoking. There is Ryan Acosta. I think maybe he might have been the one that collected McIntyre and Cittadino. I saw him off track, off the turn just after the bus stop. Austin LaPlante's all smashed in after he hit the tire barriers out of the bus stop, and Dylan Poteet was the reason the caution initially came out. So we are under yellow for the first time here today on the very first lap of this race. You had to know it was going to happen probably fairly early when they had a chance to go three wide. And we just saw it take place. So Holden Gluba leads us under our first yellow. Let's take a look at all the incidents that took place here on the first lap of the race here in the Cheese at 355. Well, here's the first one. Dylan Poteet going to go wide in the corner on the rumble strips. The car kind of fishtailed on him. I think that car got loose on him. That's why he came down across John Arndt's nose, and Arndt can't do anything. And there you go. Just punts the 31 into the wall. Not that it was any fault of the 24. Poteet came down across Arndt's nose, so Arndt couldn't do a thing. And everybody, man, nice job by everyone to avoid that 31 car. A lot of times we see drivers pop right back up in front of traffic, and that could have been a big, big pileup. Now, next incident, we're going to be very professional about this. Next incident was up in the bus stop here with Austin LaPlante. Let's see what happens here. They were wadded up for sure going into the entrance of the bus stop, and the contact right there, rubbing doors, Jessica Shelton and LaPlante. And Trent Dunham goes really wide, gets into Ryan Madden, and hooks around the 51 of LaPlante. Boy, Trent put a lot of... and wow, what a shot right there. Ryan Madden in the 88. And then I think he's going to come back up into traffic. And everybody avoid... Trent Dunham got the steel guardrail. And does everybody avoid him, though? I think they did. Wow, that's a lot of damage on that one car. Tim Walsh spun it. Tim Walsh went around. Matt McIntyre goes around. Matt's smoking now after this. Let's see what hit he might have taken. And, okay. So there's where Baskinger is going to get his damage, I guess. McCrory slides through the corner. Wow. And Qualls forced Matt McIntyre into the wall. Comes back, clips Tim Walsh. Walsh actually spins because of the contact with Trent Dunham, and Ryan Acosta and Jake Baskinger both got into Matt McIntyre. Stephen Paulo III bounces up into JT Bryant. And then let's see what happens with the 78, because he had a lot of damage afterwards. He merges back onto the... what the heck? I guess he didn't realize that the 17 was there of Tristan Folks. His spotters tell him, no, there's somebody there. And he just he spins it around and wham, into the steel guardrail. Right back up in front of traffic and collected Joshua Circley, one of the co-points leaders, and then Cittadino. Wow, I don't think I've seen a driver hit that part of the tire barrier before. And then LaPlante just clobbers the 72. And that car had no brakes. That car just keeps going and slid into the steel guardrail. That was some high-octane impact right there. Let's see if we can take one more camera look at that. My goodness, let's see what TV2 shows us. Watch the hit. Acosta into Circuli, into Citadino, and I've never seen a driver actually hit that portion of the track. That tire barrier area. And then watch the shot right there. LaPlante. And there you can just see that he's along for the ride after that shot. And then straight into the steel guardrail right there. That is some hard licks taken by a number of those drivers. Then further up, we had another incident, which was kind of a save, but it still happened. It already had occurred at this point. Right here off this corner, Benjamin Miles going to swing it a little too wide. Almost the same thing that we saw with Dylan Poteet. No grip on the rumble strips. Gets loose and comes down across the nose of Kian Eddington, who clobbers that pit wall area hard with the right side of his Whitetail Shore Lodge Chevrolet. So that is everything that took place on the first lap of this race. Let's go back now for the restart. Holden Gluba out in front. The lights are out atop the pace car. We're getting ready to go back green. We have 5 drivers who have retired from the race, including Matt McIntyre, Ryan Acosta, Austin LaPlante, Dylan Poteet, and John Citadino. All sustaining heavy impact. No one more so than the 78, 51, and 72. Getting ready to go back to green. Holden Gluba will take the green flag here on lap 4 for our first restart. And Charles Sanford trying to time that green flag. Thought about jumping to the outside. Now he'll jump to the inside. Sam McMillan right there with him as Sanford's trying to go for the lead. Oh, don't get wide off this corner again. Sanford got dumped that time. That time by the 41 of Sam McMillan. And now he sits damaged at the exit of the pit lane area. And the caution's out again. That's the second time a driver right up at the front of the field has been taken out. Sam McMillan is smoking. Oh, and there's more trouble. Jeremy Jones around along with Pichu London right in front of traffic. And they avoided him. Oh, man, Tim Walsh is smoking, though. Tim Walsh, his car is smoking. Oh, off this corner, there's going to be trouble. Kyle Matthews, Anthony McCurry, they got off track. Noah Cars is spun. Maybe we should have gone caution off with this race. I don't know. Oh, boy. Battle on there. That's for, I think, the 6th spot. William Brock and Dylan Young trying to get around Johnny Gardner. And Holden Gluba. Utter chaos happening behind him. Leads us under another yellow flag. Eddington's on pit road again. Noah Carr is trying to find his way back on track. Look at the smoke there being laid down by the Chevrolets of Tim Walsh and Sam McMillan, who nearly just slammed into each other. Are they seeing who's going to get to pit road first? It's a race to pit road between the 15 and the 41. Who's going to make it? The smoking cars. And Sam McMillan's going to cross the line first. Yeah, just trying to add a little bit of added fun into there. Pichu London there. Jeremy Jones dodging a bullet. Look at him and Joshua Circuli both way back here. My goodness. Sanford was running in second when he got dumped. And the caution flag is out one more time. Let's take a look and see what happened this time. A lot more replays coming your way. Well, here you go, Charles Sanford. Boy, I almost think that this time, yeah, that time it was on McMillan. That first one, when John Arndt turned Dylan Poteet, that was on Poteet, but Sanford held his line. McMillan did not. He actually made a little contact there with Benjamin Miles as well, did the 41 car. Man, Charles Sanford, I don't think he's going to be too happy with that 41 machine. He was trying to go for the lead. McMillan, can't blame him for trying to go 3 wide, but man. And then let's find that 18. There we go. Jeremy Jones, side by side with Pichu London. These two are going to get together right up here in this corner, I think it is. No, it's a little bit further up, sorry. Right here. Oh, Jones made contact with the 44 of Mason Powers, goes down the rumble strips, and then shoots up right into the Motorcraft Ford. And there's the shot right there for Tim Walsh. That's why he was smoking. But everybody else behind him does a great job to avoid. Right in the middle of the racetrack, and everybody jumps up to the left side to avoid that. And then further up, let's see off this corner. Oh, McCrory's going to go around. along with James Qualls, and I don't know who the other driver was. Let's see how this one starts. Oh, doesn't look like McCrory even took the bus stop correctly. Oh, he did, but he got run over. Gets run over right there by Rocco Twyman. It spins his Audi around. Qualls has to swing wide to avoid. Here comes Mason Wood. Wow, Mason Wood just slid right into McCrory's Audi. Kyle Matthews nowhere to go. Daniel Bouchard's caught back there. There's somebody else that spun there too. Who's that? Oh, that's Kian Eddington, the 33 car. That was a little bit further up ahead. He was up in 8th place, and he just messed up the bus stop. I don't think anybody touched him. He just takes the turn. It snaps on him. Yeah, and he had no grip. Wow, Johnny Gardner took the turn wide there too. And bam, into the tire barriers. And then there's this whole thing taking place behind him. Wow, that is a hit right there. Mason Wood into McCrory. And the 42 of Noah Cars, I think, gets involved in something here too. Let's find him. There he is. Running behind Tristan Folks. And is his car just going to snap on him too? Wow, he took that turn super wide. And yep, just exactly what we saw with Kian Eddington. He messes up the bus stop. So there must be super slick conditions out there right now for these drivers. Either that or they're getting a lot of debris on their tires, and it's taking away their grip opportunities. They're just really having trouble getting through that bus stop. So we're under caution for the second time today, and we haven't even completed 5 laps. So let's head back for the restart now. Holden Gluba has been able to stay out in front of all of this as he still leads the way. Noah Cars having trouble getting back on track. Lights are out atop the pace cars. They exit the bus stop. Holden Gluba still leads. It's been a race of attrition up at this point. John Arndt right now runs in 2nd. 3rd place, Benjamin Miles. Daniel Voiles is in 4th. 5th place is Johnny Gardner. 6th is going to be William Brock. 7th, Dylan Young. 8th place, Emmanuel Hartnett. Jessica Shelton in 9th. And Leon Alvarez completes the top 10. We were talking about earlier how Young Motorsports moved over to Ford, hoping for better performance. Well, right now, their 3 drivers are running in 5th, 7th, and JT Bryant's running in 14th. So I guess that transition may have been a pretty good idea. Drivers out of the race after what we just saw take place. There are a couple more that have retired, including Tim Walsh, Noah Cars, Kian Eddington, and Charles Sanford. So 9 drivers after 5 laps of racing out of this event. As far as the co-points leaders, they're going to open up a little bit of distance between themselves and 3rd place because of Kian Eddington's retiring, but let's see where they're restarting. The 27 of Circules restarting 27th, and the 18 of Jeremy Jones restarting in 30th place. Jake Baskinger, who's trying to run them down for the points lead, he'd be the next one to try and do it. He's 18th right now, but he's over 20 points back from the co-points leader's current position. So, here we go. Will we get into a long green flag run? Something's telling me no, because we had a single file restart last time, had a wreck, a couple of wrecks, and we're having a single file restart this time. I don't see much difference going on. Holden Gluba, I think, would be more than satisfied to run most of this race under caution, as long as he can keep the top position, as he got a great start, and he easily is going to pull away for the moment with the top position. We're going to look back through the field just in case. Up, there goes Johnny Gardner off the nose of William Brock, and I think he just came back in front of traffic. No, he didn't. Oh, please don't bring out a caution. We don't need a yellow. Well, we are going to have a caution. Well, okay. They're constantly wrecking off of turn number 1, and we keep going under the yellow flag. Here we go in the bus stop. Who's going to mess up this one this time? Top 4 okay, and they get through it. So far, so good. Here's some drivers that... Wait a minute, we had another wreck apparently back there further. I don't know who involved. Leon Alvarez is damaged and looks like he may be off the pace, and here's some other drivers that are way back here. Oh, this may not be good going into this corner. Trent Dunham's crowding Levi McIntyre. McIntyre saves it, though. Wow, nice save by the 99. Oh, whoa! Oh, he held on to it, I think. Danny Bouchard is damaged. Joshua Circules damaged. Oh, Emmanuel Hartnett. And Blaine Keys. And we're under caution. Carson Scott is slow. Leon Alvarez is slow. And we're under yellow once again here at Watkins Glen. Oh boy, they're gonna almost wreck off that corner. Yikes. There's Bouchard. Circuli, front end damage. James Qualls, and the smoke screen continues. It's a battle now between Blaine Keys and Emmanuel Hartnett. Who's going to get to pit road first? I think Keys is going to win it. Last week's winner, Emmanuel Hartnett, jumped up to 11th in points with that victory last week at Rockingham. He's out of the race undoubtedly now. And I did see him be the first one to step out of line when they headed down into turn 1. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. But Holden Gluba still continues to lead. He's led every lap so far, and mostly in part to the fact that we've been under the caution flag for a good portion of this race. Let's head back now, see what happened. Looks like 2 incidents taking place here on lap number 7. What a tough break here for Johnny Gardner. We were documenting how the young motorsports drivers were doing really good. That time, that wreck was on the 12. He came down across William Brock's nose. So, twice we've had the driver that got wrecked be at fault, and once the driver that wrecked the other driver be at fault. And fortunately, the car did not come back up into traffic. We've been rather lucky in that regard so far, with drivers getting wrecked in that same portion 3 times. Now let's look further up. Oh, Emmanuel Hartnett is already wrecked. Okay, so it was a pile up here in the S's. Let's see where the contact starts. Oh, okay, so looks like Hartnett. Wow. I don't know what to think there. I don't know if something broke or what, but he just turned dead right, and then he collects Leon Alvarez, and then the track's just going to blockade up. Here comes Blaine Keys. Nowhere to go. Mason Powers, he's going to get held up behind this. Cooper Cyron there. Here comes Daniel Bouchard thinking I can get around the outside line. Nope, not so lucky. Trent Dunham held up behind this. I think he made some contact. Yeah, he's got damage on the hood of his Sonic Boom Chevrolet. Look at Stephen Pollard III, Carson Scott, Tristan Folks all forged holes to the outside line to try and get around. But there was apparently something further up that took place as well, because Circuli had damage. Oh, shoot. They're going through the grass in the S's. And Pollard gets the wall. Carson Scott gets the wall up and collects James Qualls. There's where Tristan Folks is going to get involved. They're going to hit the wall again. Bouchard, second incident in about a matter of 1,000 feet. And then where's Circuli? There's Circuli. And did he hit Qualls? Is that where he gets his damage? Looks like it. Qualls spins down in front of him, and there's the hit. Right in front of Jeremy Jones. So, we're under caution again. Every bit of this racetrack seems to be eating these drivers up. And this is definitely shaping up to be one of those movers and shakers kind of races where we're going to see drivers drop in and drop out and move into the top 10 in points. So, race of survival, more or less, here today, it seems, at Watkins Glen. Well, guess we can call this race survival of the finish. If you survive, you're going to finish good. Right now, your top 10 on this restart will be Holden Gluba, John Arndt, Benjamin Miles, Daniel Voiles, William Brock, Dylan Young, Jessica Shelton, Rocco Twyman, and then James Richardson and then JT Bryant. 3 of the new 2016 Ford Fusions are running in the top 10. The other one was running good. Johnny Gardner got taken out in that wreck. He's behind the wall now, along with Daniel Bouchard. Joshua Circuli out of the race. Came in as a co-points leader with Jeremy Jones. Also, Leon Alvarez, James Qualls, Blaine Keys, and a last week's winner, Emmanuel Hartnett, out of the race. Out of the 42 drivers that took the green flag to start this race, only 26 remain. They're all still on the lead lap, but if you're looking through this field, for a clean race car, there's not too many of them there. I'd say maybe the top 10 drivers have the clean race cars. From 11th on back, they've got some kind of damage in some way, shape, or form. Holden Gluba, though, started on the pole position, has not looked back, has been good on the restarts, and been able to stay ahead of the chaos happening behind him. So let's take a poll. What driver here in the top 10 is going to get turned in turn 1? Because so far, we've been 3 for 3 with a driver in the top 5, actually. Let's make it even better. In the top 5 that's gotten wrecked in turn 1. It was Dylan Poteet on the first caution, Charles Sanford on the second caution. Both drivers were running second at the time, and then Johnny Gardner, who I believe was running 4th or 5th at the time, in the third caution was wrecked there. So, who's it going to be this time? Is it going to be Arndt? Is it going to be Miles? Is it going to be Voiles, Brock, Young, Shelton, Twyman? Who knows? We're going to find out. Maybe they'll make it through the turn without incident, but Benjamin Miles steps out of line. That's where we got to look. Oh, don't wreck. Please don't wreck. Come on. Come on, make it through. Oh, are we good? Are we good? Are we really good? Please? Please? We're good. Holy cow, they made it through that corner. Nobody wrecked that time. Gluba to the lead. Miles moves to second. Oh, this could be an interesting battle back here for third. Arndt, William Brock, Dylan Young, Daniel Voiles in this mix, heading into the bus stop. Oh, boy. Oh, Dylan Young got forced way wide. Hung on to it, though. Oh, he's going to go 3 wide with Shelton. Look at JT Bryant around the outside line. And somehow we're still green. Somehow we're still green. Oh, my goodness. Come on. Keep it green to the end, please. Top 5 have broken away. Gluba, Miles, William Brock, Daniel Voiles, John Arndt. Shelton now moves to 6th. Battle between teammates for 7th. Bryant, Dylan Young, side by side. Ooh, I thought they were going to get into each other off that corner. Got James Richardson, Mason Powers, Rocco Twyman, Joshua Lee all in that mix as they're side by side up here. John Arndt, that's for the 3rd position off of Daniel Voiles. Make that 4th place, rather. And he'll take the spot. Voiles now back to 5th. Meanwhile, Holden Gluba checking out. Benjamin Miles there in 2nd place. William Brock right behind in 3rd. And the caution's out. Caution flag is out. Well, we completed a lap under green at least. But unfortunately, the yellow flag rears its ugly head. But they do have to race it back to the line. Here comes a battle for 2nd. William Brock thought about it on Benjamin Miles. Not going to be able to make the move this time. Oh, wow. Close call there between Mason Powers and Jeremy Jones. Stephen Paul III cuts the course a little bit there. Levi McIntyre has to slow up a bit. Sam McMillan. Oh, looks like maybe Pichu London was the reason for the caution. Tristan Folks is on pit road. Coming to the line. Well, maybe this might have been the first time today that Holden Gluba would not have liked to have seen that caution flag come out, but yellow flag waves. He'll cross the line. Oh, there's a car upside down back there. That was JT Bryant. Looks like maybe Dylan Young. He's upside down on the front straightaway. Joshua Lee's in it. Stephen Paul at the 3rd. They're piling in. Jake Baskinger's involved. And the caution flag originally came out for what was a small incident, but they just piled up on the front straightaway. Dylan Young, I'm sure, was involved there. He's on pit road. James Richardson, McCrory's damaged. What happened? Twyman, Jones, Mason, Wood. My goodness. Well, we've seen this all day long. Mostly up closer to the front of the field. This was a battle for 14th, 15th, and 16th. And looks like Stephen Paul the third got a nice run out of the corner. Thought about going 3 wide, and he just wasn't clear on Tristan Folks. And Folks hard into the wall, and oh man, almost came up and collected Mason Wood. And the 14 car. Tough break there for the 17 of Folks, who was just trying to survive this race. But then up to this point, everybody was good. The caution was out. And off of turn, I guess it's, I don't know if it's turn 9 here at the Glen, the final corner, but this is where the race is going to take a drastic turn. Let's see if we can find out what happens. It might have been teammates, JT Bryant and Dylan Young. Wow, Dylan Young turned dead left into his teammate. Both were running well, and boy, I don't know what went on there. Look at the shot right there into Rocco Twyman. That flips JT over. There's a shot from James Richardson. And it's just going to keep going. Here comes Joshua Lee. Doesn't slow down. He piles in. Mason Powers got a little contact there on the left front. There's Jeremy Jones, co-points leader with he gets involved. I'll get who he's co-points leader with in a minute. Stephen Pollard III. Then there's Mason Wood. Boy, drivers just didn't slow down. They just never slowed down. And then there's a shot there for Jake Baskinger. Anthony McCurry's doing the smart thing back there. His car came to a dead stop to let these drivers settle it out amongst themselves. Kyle Matthews gets through it. And JT's car teleports to pit road, but my goodness. And the co-points leader, by the way, was with Joshua Circuli. I had to look at my point stands again. But look at the damage on some of these machines. Oh, and then Anthony McCurry made a little bit of contact, I think, into the back of Joshua Lee, and he actually spins the machine around. But Joshua Lee's day will obviously be over. Dylan Young, Rocco Twyman, JT Bryant. Questionable about Jake Baskinger, Jeremy Jones, the damage they received. James Richardson's day is over. Stephen Pollard III, don't know if he's going to be out of the race or not. Cooper Cyron, actually, I think had just made a pit stop in the 19. Pichu London had actually made a pit stop the lap before. And there you can see Rocco Twyman, smoke erupting from the driver who came into this race 5th in the point standings. From what I could tell, 4 drivers that came into today's race in the top 10 in points. Make that 5 drivers were involved in this incident. At least 3 of them took what looked like are going to be critical hits and take them out of the running of today's event. So, boy, big pile up. Trouble between teammates here in the closing stages of today's race at Watkins Glen. We're getting ready to go back green. Holden Gluba has been ahead of all the chaos today as he's looking for his first win of the season. We'll get back green on lap 14 of 18, giving us a total of 5 laps to go here today at the Glen. It's Gluba, Miles, William Brock 3rd. 4th place is John Art, Daniel Voiles 5th, then Shelton, Powers, Sam McMillan. That car was smoking not too long ago, remember. Somehow they got that car repaired. He's 8th, Levi McIntyre 9th, and Trent Dunham completes your top 10. The more important thing is we have, I believe, see at the tail end of the field here. Yeah, we've got only 15 drivers left in this race. The remaining 5 drivers that were not mentioned before. Oh, wait, no. We got more than 15, don't we? Oh, Sam McMillan's around. He was in 8th place. No, we've only got 15 drivers on track right now. So I guess they haven't updated the fact that Mason Wood, Rocco Twyman, and Ryan Madden are all out of the race. Cooper Cyron, Jake Baskinger are out as well. Also Stephen Pollard III, Joshua Lee. As we're still under green, by the way. That spin for Sam McMillan did not bring out the caution. JT Bryant, Dylan Young, James Richardson, and Tristan Folks all back behind the wall after that big wreck we saw take place there. So, 4 to go here at the Glen, and we're still under green flag conditions apparently. Benjamin Miles trying to run down Holden Gluba. Then it's a ways back to William Brock. Battle going on here for the 4th position. Jessica Shelton has it. Daniel Voiles wants it. And behind them, John Arndt in a battle with Mason Powers. And how about Levi McIntyre? That car is not exactly a pretty sight to look at, but he's running right now. Scored in the 8th position. 9th place, Trent Dunham without a hood. And I guess Mason Wood is still running. He's now scored 11th. So wait, so who is exactly out? Oh, caution's out. Caution's out again. This may end the race under caution. Jeremy Jones is out of the race, I think, in the 8th. No, actually, I think he's still running. Yeah, he is still running. As a matter of fact, he might have been the reason that caution came out. Nope, it was John Arndt, the 24, who was running in the 4th position, was battling with Mason Powers, and the yellow flag waves. What happened to... Okay, wait a minute. No, okay, I thought maybe John Arndt was missing, or not John Arndt, William Brock was missing, but I forgot he's running Golden Corral. I mistook his machine for Mason Powers. So the question is, does this race end under caution, or can we get back green? They just took the yellow flag. if things are continuing the trend, we would get back green on the white flag lap, but I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. That's the car, I think. No, it wasn't. It was John Arndt that brought out the caution. I keep thinking Jeremy Jones brought the caution flag out. So we're under yellow one more time. All these cautions helping Holden Gluba. And now we'll take a look and see what happened to John Arndt, who was running up inside the top 5 at the time. Now, John Arndt was battling with Mason Powers, who was trying to reel him in after Arndt had messed up turn number 1. Had allowed Shelton and Voiles by him and just overruns the corner. The slick track conditions. He slides it, and unfortunately there's nothing there to stop him from going straight into the tire barriers, and that car became lodged and he had to teleport to pit road. Was running at the time in the 5th position. Now it looks like he's going to finish today's race outside of the top 15. Well, we are still under caution, and as you can see at the top of your screen, the flagman was waving the white flag, which means this race, unfortunately, is going to end under the yellow flag. However, that's unfortunate for us, since we were going to want to see a good finish here, but it's very fortunate for Holden Gluba, who will lead every lap today, stayed ahead of all the problems, and will be capturing his first win of the season, maybe. The big maybe is because you'll notice the top 5 looks a little strange. There were some drivers who just came to pit road on the last lap, including the driver who was running second, Benjamin Miles. Carson Scott, Mason Wood, Mason Powers, Kyle Matthews, and Miles. Those 5, as well as William Brock in the 7, all came to pit road. Miles and Brock giving up 2nd and 3rd place. So the question of fuel could be a concern for these leaders, because none of them, with maybe the possible exception of Levi McIntyre and Trent Dunham and Pichu London, have been to pit road. They've not come to pit road this entire race. So Gluba, Shelton, and Voiles are going to have to try and clutch here, try and save fuel, all the while maintaining the minimum pace speed of 40 miles per hour in order to come away with top 3 finishes. For Gluba, he's trying to win. Shelton's trying to pick up what would, I think, be her second place finish of the season. And Daniel Voiles, I don't remember up until this point what his best finish was. This might be actually his best finish of the season in 3rd place. But look behind them. You got the damaged machine of Levi McIntyre, who's going to finish 4th. And hoodless Trent Dunham will finish in 5th place here today. Pichu London, he ended up pitting during the last caution flag when Tristan Folks wrecked. Stayed on the lead lap. He'll finish 6th. Anthony McCrory, his car's not clean as a whistle. He's damaged. 7th. How about Sam McMillan? I would love to know how they got a smoking car fixed and still able to finish this race in 8th place. Keep in mind, too, McMillan spun on our last green flag run, and it didn't bring out the yellow flag, and he's still going to get a top 10. Jeremy Jones, talk about taking a bad day and turning it into a good result. Came in tied for the points lead with Joshua Circuli. Circuli out of the race early. Jones took a hard hit there in that pile up with the Young Motorsports drivers, but he's still going to come away with a 9th place finish. And William Brock, he could have finished 3rd, but apparently he and the others behind him did not want to risk it on fuel. Came to pit road, and he'll finish the day out still in a solid top 10 run. Miles will get 11th. Mason Powers 12th. Mason Wood 13th. Kyle Matthews, great run for him. A go-go homer in 14th. And Carson Scott, the last driver to finish, will be in the 15th position. As they come off the final corner, only 15 cars will finish today's race. It was a race of attrition for sure, but not up at the front. Holden Gluba, the cleanest car on the racetrack for sure, leads every single lap today, whether it be under green or under caution, but he'll lead the most important lap as he'll come to the line, checker flag waves, and Holden Gluba will pick up the victory, winning the Cheez-It 355 here at the Glen. So it came down to a race of survival. If you survived, you were going to get a good finish. And Holden Gluba becomes only the second Toyota this season to go to victory lane. Jeremy Jones has done it twice this year, but he at that point was the only one out of the Toyota camp to go to victory lane. Gluba gets it done here today at the road course of Watkins Glen. So there's no doubt about it, this is going to definitely be a point shakeup. Jeremy Jones will for sure take the points lead over, but what's it going to look like from second place on down? Benjamin Miles, with where he finished today, he could maybe jump up as high as second in the point standings. We'll have to see if that's the case. It'll also be very interesting to see who moves into the top 10, who falls out because of the bad runs today by Joshua Lee, James Richardson, Emmanuel Hartnett. That breaks it wide open for drivers to work their way into the top 10 in the point standings. A couple of drivers that I'm looking at that could get close: Anthony McCurry, Levi McIntyre, maybe even potentially Holden Gluba and Trent Dunham. We'll see who is going to be making it into the top 10 heading into next week. Next week may be another race of attrition. We're going short track racing at South Boston, I do believe. Hopefully I've got that correct, but I do believe that's our next stop on the schedule. So congratulations once again to Holden Gluba on the victory here today at the Glen. If you guys enjoyed today's race, be sure to give us a video like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. 6 more races, and we will know who is going to be in the chase for the Hersheys Cup Series Championship. Looks like Levi McIntyre could be out of fuel. Not certain. But anyway, we'll see you guys next week as you've been watching a production of NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.